All right, so today we're gonna go on Matthew chapter 6. All right, Matthew chapter 6, the proper way how to do charity deeds, how to do good deeds in general. There is a proper way to do it. All right, there is a proper way, and I'll just tell you, God sees everything. All right, God sees our good deeds, even though you know we don't post it or we don't make it public. God sees everything we do. All right, good and bad. God sees everything. All right. So I'm just going to read Matthew chapter 6. All right. This is Jesus talking. Okay. It says, "Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven." So, hey, we do get rewards in heaven. All right. That's something huge to remember. We get rewards in heaven. So, when we serve the Lord, we get rewards that you will get in heaven. Now, it says here that if you do good deeds, for people to see. Like, hey, look at me. All right, make sure I post this so people see me and I get credit and I get the likes. Hey, you will not get a reward for that. It says here, take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. So that does not count as a reward in heaven. All right, it says here, therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory from men. Surely I say to you, they have their reward. So don't make a big deal out of it. Hey, don't make sure like everybody sees your good deeds. All right, it says here, don't be like the hypocrites who, before they do a good deed, they make sure everybody's watching. They make sure they get credit from men. Like, hey, he's a good person. All right, because he does good deeds. No. All right, that's not how we do it. It says here, chapter 6, verse 3. But when you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, that your charitable deed may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. So, the key thing to do when you're doing a good deed is to do it in secret. All right, do it in secret. Because it says here, your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. You will get rewarded openly. So, man, what's very, very important here is that you do a lot of good deeds in secret. Right? You don't have to announce it to everybody. You don't have to put it all out there. Do it in secret, and your Father in heaven will, it says here, reward you openly. All right, reward you open. So, number one, don't do deeds just so people can see you. Don't sound the trumpet. Don't be loud about when you're about to do a charitable deed. A lot of people they'll be loud. They make sure like, hey, look how much I donated. I donated. I want everybody to know. Like, no, it says here to do it in secret. All right, if you're gonna donate, do it in secret. All right, because it says here God will reward you openly. All right, so do a lot of good deeds secretly, and you will be rewarded openly. So that's the main thing here. That's it. This is Jesus talking. All right. Also, please subscribe, and if you have any questions, hey, feel free. All right. Please subscribe. Please like. All right. I would really appreciate it. So in Matthew chapter 6, Jesus talking, hey, do good deeds in secret. All right. We don't have to post everything we do. Man, this is actually like a life hack, to be honest. This is a huge life hack. All right. Because it says here, um, your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. So just keep that in mind. You will get rewarded for these things. You will get rewarded. All right. If you do things in secret, you will get rewarded openly. All right. Thank you for being on. All right. I really appreciate it. All right. So once again, take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. All right. So don't just do deeds so people can see you. Therefore, when you do charitable deeds, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and the streets, that they may have glory from men. So don't seek glory from men. All right, that's the main thing. How's it going, Chief? All right, thanks for being on. All right, so don't look for uh glory from men. All right, that's the main thing. All right, like, man, I just want to be recognized. Like, hey, not everything, you don't really have to get recognized for everything you do. Like I said, God sees everything. All right. You will be rewarded. All right. Openly. But when you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, that your charitable deed may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. All right, reward you openly. That is huge, all right? That is huge. Also, here in Matthew chapter 6, we notice Jesus telling us to do a lot of things in secret. One is, charitable deeds in secret. Also, praying. Hey, pray in secret. All right. Worship in secretly. Worship in your closet. Worship. Not everything has to be out there for the people. Not everything. Study in secret. What do you do when nobody's watching? That is what's very, very important. What do you do when nobody's watching? Do you study God's word? Do you pray? All right. Like you should pray more than people think you do. All right. That is huge. Like, man, that's what's huge. It says here, and when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets, that they may be seen by men. Surely I say to you, they have their reward. But you, when you pray, go into your room. When you have shut the door, pray to your Father who is in secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. So once again, our Father in heaven sees us in secret. He sees everything we do, and you will get rewarded openly. That is a huge life hack. All right. You get rewarded openly. All right. Please subscribe. Thank you for being on. All right. So, hey, the key thing here is if you want a lot of rewards, if you want to be rewarded openly, do a lot of things in secret. Do charitable deeds. All right. Make sure you do your tithes, offerings. Make sure you're just helping people out in general. That's really one thing I really focus on, just helping people out. When I can, like, hey, you know what, all good, all right, because I'm always thinking like, man, how can I get more rewards? I'm thinking that like half the time. How can I get more rewards? Do more things in secret. Pray, study in secret. Man, that is huge. That is huge. That's one of my favorites. Is just studying. Not everybody has to know how much you study, but hey, just being out there, like just also praying, man. Like it doesn't always have to be on camera. It doesn't always have to be on live. Since I've been doing this, that's one of those things that I really had to learn how to balance out is what do I do publicly and what do I do, how much I do in secret. All right. How much do I put out there and how much do I do that's not out there? And no lie, like sometimes I want to put everything out there, but to be honest, to really stay like focused and to really stay balanced, I really have to do more, like I said, in secret or just me individually, praying and reading God's word and just pretty much talking to God, and not always pushing a button like live or making a YouTube video. Like not everything has to be on camera, because sometimes like, hey, we go through life. Everybody goes through life, and sometimes life is hard, tough, and a lot of times you really have to be just intimate with God. That's the main thing. All right, so that's one of the main things I focus on here. When you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut the door, pray to your Father who is in secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. All right, and when you pray, do not use vain repetition. So another thing I want to say is, I've noticed a lot of people they have like the prayer, like, oh, this is where I pray, and you see like the pillow and the blanket, and it's like you walk into the house and like this is where I pray and this and that. Like, hey, like not everything has to be a display, your prayer room does not have to be that fancy. Like, hey, it could be in your closet. Pray in your closet. For me, y'all know I pray in secret in my vehicle, in my car. All right. That is where I pray in secret, in my car, on my commute to work, on my commute back from work. When I'm working, hey, guess what? I pray in secret. Like, no, I don't, people don't know that. People don't know how much I actually pray. People don't know how much I actually talk to God. Hey, people, like, nobody can account for it except God Himself. All right. So that's my main thing. Pray in your vehicle. I strongly recommend that. Strongly, strong. Put worship music on when you're commuting to work and just, being focused. Talk to God. Sometimes like, hey, let's change the radio station and put some worship music, and hey, you know what? Today's gonna be a tough day at work. Hey, you know what? I want to focus on God first because that's where it starts, and the rest will go as it goes. All right, so that's one of the main things. Your vehicle, all right, that is my prayer room. Is my vehicle. All right, my vehicle is my prayer room. I'm driving prayer. Man, I can't tell you how much difference that makes. All right, so sometimes even when you're just like in your vehicle sitting there, hey man, just pray, talk to God. Like I said, nobody's watching. Nobody's watching. All right. So that's a huge life hack, man. That's a huge life hack that I strongly recommend anyone do. Pray in your vehicle, worship in your vehicle, study God's word in your vehicle. Make that a daily routine. A daily routine. That'll make a huge difference in your life. I kid you not. You go through the whole book of Proverbs, man, going through the whole book of Psalms. My favorite book of Matthew. That's the one I'm doing right now. Again, for like the 100th time. The book of Matthew, man. Listen to the man. I really enjoy it, man. Book of Matthew right here talks about treasures in heaven. Hey, what do you get? After right now, man, right now the family is really going through a lot of. Um, we lost, you know, wife's grandma passed away. I have a cousin that passed away. So that's what's going on in my life right now. And 3 times a day on his knees. I'm sure he prayed more than three, but yeah. And also they told Daniel not to pray. They made it the law to pray. Like, hey, when we sound the trumpet, hey, you have to pray to the statue. And Daniel refused. They're like, I'm not gonna pray to the statue. They were trying to get him away from praying to his God, the God of Israel. All right. And they try to change Daniel. Daniel's a huge example of today's age where people they try to change you and they're like, well, I mean, it's the law. Like, I have to follow the law, right? And Daniel's like, hey, y'all might have made it the law, but I'm gonna pray regardless. All right. So Daniel prayed, and those people they saw him praying and they told the king, and the king like, all right, well, I guess you're going into the lion's den. All right. Like he wouldn't worship an idol. That is huge. Yeah, Daniel. One of my favorite people in the Bible, Daniel, because Daniel's gonna pray no matter what. Daniel was a relationship with God no matter what. Also David, the Book of Psalms, prayers, 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 prayers. Book of Psalms, man, those are strong people in the Bible. They prayed so much. They prayed so much. Um, Solomon, he asked for wisdom. All right, God was gonna give him anything he wanted, anything he want. He asked for wisdom. Right, we got the book of Proverbs. Man, so much wisdom in there. All right, so it's just these are huge practices, huge lifestyle life hacks. All right, yeah, praying, man, praying in secret. All right, pray in secret and like I said, in your car, maybe when you're laying down trying to get some rest, especially anytime you're having a hard day or a tough time, like just stop and pray and just what, just reset. Just remember, hey, God's with you. Like that is huge. I've had some tough days where I just have to remind myself, hey, no matter what, God's with me no matter what, and we'll go from there. All right, what's the worst thing that can happen? All right, so yeah, that's huge. Also here, so another thing that you do in secret here is fasting. Moreover, when you fast, do not be like the hypocrites when they sat with a sad countenance, for they disfigure their face that they may appear to men to be fasting. Assuredly I say to you, they have their reward. So when you fast, don't make it super obvious that you're fasting. Man, I'm fasting. I'm so hungry. You show your face like, man, another thing, do in secret. If you're gonna fast, do it in secret. Remember, you're gonna get rewarded openly by your Father in heaven. All right, so that's another thing to do. All right, fast in secret. So the main thing out of Matthew chapter 6 is do things in secret and know that God is watching and He will reward you openly. All right, now after reading this, one thing you notice or you see out in public is that people like to get credit for what they do. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna give to the poor. Make sure people see it. Make sure you record this. Hey, make sure you record this. You know, so that's one thing to always watch out for. Like, who does that? All right, who records themselves giving to the poor, and know that, hey, Jesus said, do it in secret. Now, I would say if you give to the poor maybe like 20 times and you record once or twice, then I would say that's fine. Like, okay, I do most of the stuff in secret, but it's not about getting glory from men, from people. Like, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. I'm giving to the poor. Hey, look at me, I'm donating this much money. Look at me. And this is not about that. All right. It's about doing it in secret, and God will reward you. Just knowing that, hey, you're doing a good thing. All right, that's it. All right, that's it. So yeah. So pray in secret, do good deeds in secret, fast in secret. And also here in verse 19, do not lay up yourselves treasures on earth where moth, rust, destroy, and where thieves break in to steal. So that's another thing. Don't just collect materialistic stuff here on earth. Hey, it's not about collecting materialistic stuff. All right. But it says, but lay up yourself treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. So collect your treasures in heaven, not here on earth. All right. The materialistic stuff here on earth will rust and will go bad eventually. A car, a house, everything's going to be destroyed. Now, a book I strongly recommend is Ecclesiastes. I have trouble saying the word. All right. But that is about literally there's nothing here on earth to live for except for God. That's literally what it's about. All right. The book of Ecclesiastes. 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 All right. That is that is a huge book to read. That is huge. And spoiler alert, it's very depressing. All right. Man, I read it like 3 times, like in 2 days, and not too long ago. And no lie, like it actually kind of made me a little depressed. I was actually really sad, you know. And I was just in my car, like I said, in my secret place, in prayer about it, and really trying to grasp what it's about. Like really trying to grasp it, like really trying to hit home with it, And it's a tough read. Book of Ecclesiastes. All right, it's by King Solomon. All right, who also wrote Proverbs. Very intelligent, very wise person. Um, all right, let me see. I just gotta look it up. 55. All right. So I'm gonna read a little bit of Ecclesiastes. Uh, let me make sure I got it right. All right. Let me make sure I have it right. Did I let me get the book out real quick. Ecclesiastes. But it's a good read. All right. Let me see here. Where's it at? I thought I had it right now. I just had it. Sorry. But it's by Solomon. All right, who also wrote the book of Proverbs. And after Solomon has pretty much done everything, he's like, so what's the meaning of life? Like, pretty much, what is the meaning of life? Like, what are we doing here? Like nothing fulfills you. Nothing here on earth fulfills you. So what are we doing? It's pretty much what it's about. I just had it. What's going on here? Give me 1 second, please. Thank you for your patience. Why isn't it? I guess my numbers are a little off because it's telling me 9:55. Am I off? Oh, okay. I'm off. My bad. I'm over here. Okay. Ecclesiastes. All right. So, so let me see. So, let me see real quick. I'm just going to skim through it. Chapter 12. Remember now your creator in the days of your youth before the difficult days come and the years draw near when you say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun and the moon and the stars are not darkened, all the clouds do not return after the rain. So that just sounds depressing. All right. In the day when the keeper of the house trembles and the strong men bow down, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look through the window grow dim. See, sounds very depressing. So it's a real tough read. When the doors are shut in the streets and the sound of the grinding is low, when one rises up, the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of the music are brought low. Also, they are afraid of height and terror and the way their almonds tree blossoms. All right, let me see. Remember, verse 6. All right, 12, verse 6. Remember your creator before the silver. So remember your creator. Remember your creator. Verse 9. So 12, verse 9. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yes, the ponder and sought and said in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find acceptable words, and what was written was a upright word of truth. The word of the wise are like goads, and the words of the scholars are like well driven nails given by the one shepherd. And further, my son, be admonished by these of making many books. There is no end, and much study is wearisome to the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. So here's the conclusion to everything: fear God and keep his commandments. For this is man's all, for God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. So pretty much fear God and keep his commandments. After everything's been said, fear God and keep his commandments. That's his words of wisdom. All right. And that is repetitive in the Bible. That is consistent throughout the whole Bible. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing. Here we go again. The word secret thing, whether good or evil. So, man, that's why it's very important to be doing the right thing when nobody's watching. All right. Um, yeah, this is a very depressing book. Verse chapter 5. Fear God, keep your vows. Walk prudently when you go to the house of God, and draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know that they do evil. That is, yeah, it's a tough read. All right. So the book of Ecclesiastes by Solomon. All right. Who also wrote Proverbs about wisdom. All right. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna come up with another study, and I'm gonna start in about 5 minutes. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. Please like. Thank you very much. All right. God bless you. God bless. All right. Thank you very much.